What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So we've talked quite a bit about that Xbox Series S system that's supposed to be the cheaper alternative to the X, because more and more leaks and rumors and stuff have gotten out there, whether it's from developer documents or just people who seem to have information related to this cheap system. We're still waiting for Microsoft to announce, and more information has now gotten out there, and it's going to have a surprising feature apparently that will be coming with it that I didn't even think it would have, and will show that it probably won't be holding back that Series X at all. Also, there was that next-gen Harry Potter game that was leaked out a while ago, and then it disappeared, and everyone's been asking about what happened to it. Well, it's back in the news again. We're going to go over that here today as well. As always, guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure you hit that like button. It helps out a ton. And if brand new here, hit that red subscribe button down below as we head towards 500,000 subscribers. And we're going to start today with a game that was announced at New Game Plus Expo that was probably my most hyped announcement at the time when we were going through it, and that is Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 2. We now have a release date for it, and I don't know why they didn't just announce it there, because it's soon. It's July 10th. So it's like a week and a half, this game will be out, and I'm really excited for this. It's going to be $14.99, it's going to be on all platforms, and it is the sequel to a game that I really liked when it dropped, probably more than the full Bloodstained game that we got. This, of course, was more of a callback to the Castlevania series as like this little 8-bit 2D side-scrolling game, but it was really interesting in some of the mechanics that it had, where you would either befriend the different people that you would beat in the game and they would help you through it, or you can just walk right past them and not even use them. I tried that in another run, and it was much harder to not have them, obviously, because you didn't have their abilities, and this one looks even better. So, like, the fact that we're getting these announcements, by the way, and not having to wait that long is great. Like, think about it this way. If they had said, oh yeah, it's coming out in, like, November, I'd be like, oh, that's so far away, it's gonna be a bit, but it's in 10 days or so. Yeah, sign me up for that. Speaking of another game that appears to not be that far off, Crysis Remastered. We got pretty excited for this, right? And we found out it's going to the Switch, which means, yes, the Switch can play Crysis. That was a question that was asked a long time ago before the system came out. I remember people were asking me even in live streams at the time, do you think the Switch can play Crysis? This is like months before the system came out, and I said, yeah, I think it can play Crysis, mostly because it's run on an NVIDIA Shield before, so yeah, it can, and looks like it will. And according to a Microsoft Store listing, which the Microsoft Store is very good at just putting games out by accident ahead of what seems to be their trailer tomorrow that will go live with gameplay. That'll be at noon Eastern tomorrow. We'll see full gameplay for Crysis Remastered, but a store listing went up with several screenshots, by the way, which you can see here, and it looks like the game is coming July 23rd, according to that store listing. Now, I assume, because it's so close, again, like 3 weeks away, they will announce this tomorrow during their gameplay stream that is currently scheduled. I mean, it's gonna look good, but based on the file size being just over 7 gigabytes, I'm actually not expecting a massive jump, to be honest. I think they will play around with some of the settings, of course, going from like, you know, the 360 up to the Xbox One X and the PlayStation 4 Pro and all that, and whatever needs to work for the Switch. But I kind of have reined back expectations a little bit based on the file size just being like a gigabyte more, maybe a little less even, than the original release. But we'll see. That's just a store listing. There could be more to it coming up here. And good to know, though, 3 weeks, and we'll have Crysis Remastered. That's exciting stuff. Also, we've talked about some pretty cool Switch modifications at times as they pop up, and this one was too cool to just skip on. You got to check this out. This was posted on Reddit with, by the way, a ton of pictures as to how they did this. I like when they'll go through, and this has like over 100 images, by the way, of their build process. And it shows them taking a Super Nintendo that had seen better days and turning it into a full Switch dock, which also allows you to pop your Joy-Con controllers in. It appears that they had grabbed a charging station and fashioned that up for the sides there. And it does look like it was a lot of fun to do, because it goes from a Super Nintendo hollowed out shell with some pretty creative ideas for where to put the Switch, which, yeah, in the cartridge slot, of course, but where the Joy-Cons go and the functionality of it, it's pretty cool to see this. So I would check it out when you get a chance. Like I said, there's a lot of images, and I don't know how many people are going to attempt to recreate this, but I hope more and more of these things come out, because I've seen like a Nintendo 64. That was one that someone did where they turned it into a dock, and it's neat taking these older shells with beat up systems and turning into something new and current like this. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. We're gonna start right away with that next generation Harry Potter game. Now, this got leaked out way too early. If you remember, there was some footage that just started to make the rounds. It popped up on Twitter and it got shared around YouTube as well, and it was everywhere. And it was strange because it looked like someone had recorded some off-screen footage, maybe during like a focus group or something, or just a presentation. It was very odd, but people got really excited from what they saw because it looked good. Like you don't really think too much about, I guess, a Harry Potter game now coming out being this big budget thing for next gen systems and looking really interesting with I remember they showed like the destructible environment part where like things like boulders and rocks and stuff are falling, and it looked next gen. It was kind of hard to describe, but if you see it, you'll know what I'm talking about. But then it just kind of disappeared after that. I had heard that it was going to be a next gen game, and it was weird to see one so early. But more information has started to come out now over at Bloomberg. Nibble went ahead and grabbed some bullet points for it, but I'll also link you guys over to the Bloomberg article so you can check that out in full context as well, down below in the sources. But if you check out Nibble's tweet, for example, it says it is developed by Avalanche Software, and that was something that was confirmed by Eurogamer a while ago. Around the time that it was being shown, I think it was 2018, they did confirm that as well, that Avalanche was taking over on that. And it is scheduled for late next year, so I would assume holiday time. They should start kicking up marketing and talking about this early next year. It's going to be open world for Hogwarts and surrounding areas. That's going to be really, really interesting. Apparently, J.K. Rowling has very little direct involvement. There we go. And it's to be revealed after DC Fandom. That is, their fandom event is at the end of August. That's where we're expecting, by the way, to see something from Rocksteady, which is still being rumored to be this Suicide Squad game, right? We'll see about that. And then the new Batman game as well. And both of them, those are supposed to be next gen. So it kind of sounds like right now, WB is really getting on this next gen train and working towards the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X, which I'm okay with. I want to see more next gen games since we've had these systems, the Xbox One and the PS4, for so long. Let's start seeing these next gen games that aren't necessarily held back by the older systems, right? The mechanical hard drives and the older architecture and all of that. A system from 2013 that still uses DDR3 memory. Yeah, let's get into current times here with the PS5 and the Series X. So I'm excited at least to see the Harry Potter game. I'm not super into the Harry Potter lore or anything like that, but if you are, this has got to be really exciting to see all of this happen. And the fact that, well, let's see, August, end of August, so maybe September, October even, they revealed. I'm trying to think of where they would do it. If it's after the DC Fandom, they could just maybe put it out there. Would that be fine? If they didn't have a full event, what if they just dropped a trailer on YouTube, since we already know about the game, get it out there with some gameplay, and then just say, hey, PS5, Xbox Series X 2021 or something like that, and PC most likely as well. I'm also curious to see how well a full-on Harry Potter AAA game would sell. I feel like it would do pretty well, but I mean, a full open-world Hogwarts style game, that at least would have some effort put into it, I would say, than some of the older Harry Potter games. But let me know what you guys think about a brand new next-gen AAA, seemingly, Harry Potter game and how you think that will do next year. Also, let me know if you're excited for it, because I don't really see Harry Potter talked about as much online, at least not how it used to be back in the day. When any book came out, it was madness. Next up, let's talk about that Xbox Series S, because apparently it was supposed to have been shown like already. That was going to be something that was going to be shown even in June. It seems like plans have shifted internally at Microsoft, as we'd expect. Schedules are all over the place, as we talked about before with the COVID situation and remote work, and it's been all over the place behind the scenes for a lot of these companies, especially if you go to Sony or Microsoft and they're trying to launch brand new systems this holiday. I'm sure it is just chaos behind the scenes to get some of these deadlines met. But it seems that Well, we're finishing up June and we didn't have that Xbox 2020 event or moment or whatever. They put out information about the Series X, remember the optimized for, and then some other little press details and stuff that they put out through releases, but it wasn't anything big. When we heard about Xbox 2020, we were expecting game reveals, system reveals, accessory reveals, some big features, but that never really happened in June. And people started to notice this as we crept up on the end of this month. And here we are now, June 30th, no announcement. It seems that Lockhart, or Xbox Series S we've been calling it, may have been scheduled, but it appears now, according to sources, that it has shifted into August. So that's later than even I thought. I was kind of thinking that when we got to this July event, Microsoft may have priced the systems and then thrown up Lockhart as like a $300 system next to the Series X, which will probably be $500. But it appears that that's not going to be the case, at least for now. Again, plans can move and change. And even now, Windows Central is saying that that July event might not even be until the end of July, as they kind of have a window of the 20th to the 25th. So it could be 3 weeks before we see that July event from Microsoft, which again feels like, I guess, a while longer than I thought it would be. I thought it'd be like the first week they'd want to get this July event out there, especially after what they saw from Sony with the PlayStation 5. Now, the interesting thing here is what Tom Warren tweeted out about Lockhart, because a lot of people have been saying, okay, the Xbox Lockhart or Series S, it's going to be weaker. 4 teraflops seems to be the number, less RAM, all this, right? It'll still have an SSD, still be an RDNA 2, but will that hold back the Xbox Series X from being able to reach its true potential, right? Not necessarily. In fact, Tom Warren tweeted this out here, saying that Lockhart CPU is faster than the PlayStation 5, which it would be because Tom Warren also mentioned that it will actually be on par, or I guess just straight up the same, as the Series X CPU. The Lockhart supports ray tracing, which is very surprising to see. That then goes on to say, of course, PC titles, multiple GPUs, all of that, right? But the fact that Lockhart would have ray tracing surprised me a bit. Now, of course, that I'm sure it's baked in at a hardware level with RDNA 2, which is something we're still waiting to see introduced by AMD, hopefully soon, we'll see on that one. But the fact that Microsoft could be releasing a $300 system that would be able to play next-gen games with ray tracing, 1080p, 1440p, we'll see about the resolution numbers, but to give an option like that still has the feature like ray tracing is surprising, and they'd be right. It necessarily wouldn't hold back the Series X from being able to do 4K resolution or 60 frames with that same game, especially since ray tracing can be enabled or disabled. But to have that across both platforms is impressive stuff, and I am really interested to see what this Series S, this Lockhart, will look like, because I've been thinking of a cube, but maybe it's just like a flat box or something. We'll see. It's very interesting to follow what's pretty obviously going to be announced by Microsoft soon-ish, but August feels like a while away to show what would be your advantage, even if it's $300 over a PlayStation 5. Next up, I want to show you something very strange. It caught me off guard a little bit, but Joy-Con drift has been an issue for a lot of people, right? It's kind of come and gone in the news, depending on if like a big article is written about it, or like there's a big issue randomly about Joy-Con drift with maybe someone on Twitter or something. It spikes in the news randomly, but it is still an issue for a lot of people, and it's something Nintendo really hasn't done a lot other than change out the Joy-Con in certain regions. It's kind of about it, but I thought this would happen sooner or later, to see third-party companies releasing products that probably won't fix the problem, but are being advertised to help alleviate the issue. Check this image out right here. Tell me what you see. Most likely you see a couple of foam spacers that look like little donuts, right? Well, this is from CyberGadget. They're called damage stoppers to combat Joy-Con drift. It is part of their description. 750 yen, so it's about $7. They're coming out this August, and comes in a package of 6. Now, from what I can tell, they don't necessarily say it absolutely stops Joy-Con drift. It could help. Okay, that tells me that it's probably not going to do a lot, but it looks like it would then sit down underneath of your Joy-Con cap and keep it from hitting the edges as rough as it might, where you get kind of that dust in there, right? Kind of build up from plastic rubbing against plastic. But I kind of feel like it would be strange because you would get stopped essentially, and it might feel like it's kind of like with molasses or you spilled something in there. I don't know. And I guess they're thinking, oh, if there's no dust buildup, then the Joy-Con itself won't drift. That I don't think that's exactly how that would work, because inside the Joy-Con, the mechanism is what's really messing up over time or even right out of the box. So if you see these pop up, I don't think I would run out and pick these up immediately thinking it would solve your problem or even help to prevent it. This just seems like a third-party company thinking about it and going, oh, if we just work to stop the shavings around your Joy-Con from getting a little too rough with it, that could stop the drift. We'll put that in the advertising. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about a new Battle Royale game that appears to be getting announced this week and could be launching relatively soon. It's going to be a free-to-play Battle Royale from Ubisoft, which, look, every company is going to take a shot at this. This is the way it is. It blew up, right, this generation, and all these companies want a piece of it, or at least just to see if it works, right? You never know. One of these companies could launch the next Fortnite just randomly. So here we go with Ubisoft. This was tweeted out. Slasher actually tweeted this one out, saying Hyperscape is a free-to-play Battle Royale first-person shooter set in a futuristic virtual world for both PC and consoles, with the console launch coming later this year, including crossplay. Hyperscape goes into closed beta next week with open beta and full launch of the game on July 12th. So the idea here is it's supposed to lean into the idea of the streamer and viewer connection. So like on Twitch, what seems to happen here is that viewers can do different things to influence the course of the game, whether it's voting on different parts or giving you power-ups. It seems like it's like the next level for that. So I guess that's interesting, at least. I mean, it's Ubisoft. They of course can build at least a functional and mechanically good Battle Royale, but I need to see a little more about this overall before I say, yeah, it's the next Fortnite or anything. And even then, it's tough. There's just so many Battle Royale games, but it seems to be free to play. It's going to come to PC first and then consoles later this year. So the fact that it's at least free to play always gives me the idea of, okay, we can try it, see if it's any good. It does look like it will be good, at least for streamers, which if you're trying to get into the Battle Royale kind of setup, right, you want to give streamers a reason to play it, and if it can help them interact with their community more, yeah, that might be a reason for them to play it, and it looks like they're also getting a lot of streamers to try it out. Of course, when they first launch, it makes sense for marketing, have streamers play it, big streamers, and you might get more and more people in just from that. It's certainly worth more, I would say, to do that than go throw a commercial on TV or something. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from Mark, saying Nintendo needs to create an in-house porting division. Wii U ports are one thing, but they have games stuck on older consoles and handhelds that they have never been re-released ever since. A number of Switch owners are lapsed fans, and nostalgia is a goldmine. Well, you're right about that. If they started pulling GameCube games, for example, yeah, people would get pretty excited, especially if they were, I guess you'd say backwards compatible. You're not going to pop a GameCube disc in, but if they just took a GameCube game and made it look a little better on the Switch and released it, similar to what Microsoft has been doing with their backwards compatibility, that would be amazing. People would buy those up like crazy, and trust me, I'm sure Nintendo has thought about that quite a bit. They just haven't really moved on it necessarily. I mean, Microsoft has their own entire division that just works on backwards compatibility stuff. They even moved on to the Series X, I think, at the end of last year, and they've been working ever since. So Microsoft has at least figured out the backwards compatibility stuff, but Nintendo is the one with all the IPs, so here's hoping they start doing it as well. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. It really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about today, whether it's the next-gen Harry Potter game. Are you excited for that, and do you think it would sell really, really well? Let me know about that one down below. And then what about Ubisoft's new Battle Royale game? Or, of course, let me know about these CyberGadget drift things and the Series S. Let me know about that as well. Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see you next time.